In 2025 Des Moines City Council meeting to order. Please take the roll.
Boson,
Here.
Simonson, Voss,
Yes, here.
Coleman, Westergaard, Mandelbaum, Gatto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Item 2 is approving the agenda as presented and/or as amended. 5B has been withdrawn. Inspections are incomplete.
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Item 3 is approving the consent agenda. Those are items 3 through 37. These are routine items and will be enacted by one roll call vote without separate discussion unless pursuant to council rules, council requests an item to be removed to be considered separately. In addition to that, item 5, Coleman and Voss are no. Item 6, Coleman is no. Item 7, Coleman is no. 31, Coleman would like to speak, and 35, Gatto would like to speak.
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. The next item are our hearings. Item 38, on conveyance of city-owned property at 1168 22nd Street to invest DSM for rehabilitation of housing. Council communication number 25-269. Germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person to speak, 10 minutes maximum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this? Seeing none?
Yeah, I don't see any. I would move item 38.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Item 39, on conveyance of city-owned property at 1552 23rd Street and 1706 23rd Street to Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity for redevelopment of housing. Council communication number 25-270, same time frame. As anyone wishing to speak to this item? State your name and ward or address.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Doyle at 4308 Ingersoll Avenue, representing Greater Des Moines Habitat for Humanity. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank council and staff on these two addresses, as well as our ongoing partnership and everything we're doing. So I'm available for questions on this or anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion?
It's good to have this development, and they're a good partner of the city. Appreciate you attending one of the next neighborhood association meetings, just to kind of talk about the plans for these, but I will move item 39.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Seven yes.
Motion carries. Item 40, on vacation of segments of Ingersoll Avenue, 6th Avenue, East Grand Avenue, and University Avenue right-of-way, and conveyance of easements for bus shelter encroachment on city-owned property, Des Moines Area Regional Transit Authority for $3,000. A is first consideration of ordinance above. B is final consideration of ordinance above. Waiver requested by Keegan Haynes, requires 6 votes. Anyone wishing to speak to this?
Just a question, Your Honor. We're charging DART $3,000 so they can put up shelters? Is that what we're doing here? Why?
Good question, we always have, that doesn't make it.
That doesn't make it right. I mean, I think can we have an extra shelter if we don't charge it $3,000? Because I would rather have that and not charge them anything.
I can sure look into that. The 3,000 would not cover a shelter, but yeah, we could.
I just wonder what is that
I would
somewhere in our
possibly-
policy?
I would possibly
that
delay
we're-
it.
we-
And I'd possibly delay it if you want
Well,
this one or in just moving forward.
I mean, this has taken a long, long time. I would prefer we go through with this,
And
and
look
if
at
we
it.
need to amend to waive, I would fully support that.
We can't waive it right now?
Or come back at a future meeting with a new plan.
Whatever we need to do, but let's keep the shelters
So
moving
basically,
forward.
we
I
need to
mean,
get
this has
them ordered
been,
and going.
I would suggest not waiving right now. My guess is it's probably tied to the fair market value requirement of the statute. That's the value of the interest that's
Right.
being conveyed. But I'm assuming that I haven't looked, but we'll find out and get back to council, and we can
Okay.
always bring back something amendatory if
Well-
that's possible.
On a similar vein, there's a small fee to have a
B-cycle station on the right-of-way.
Okay, well, we'll work on that. This one right now we'll take up. So,
Yeah.
I just know the situation that Dart's in, and for us to hit them up for $3,000 to put additional shelters in doesn't seem like
So we're helping,
thoughtful.
sure,
at this
and
point.
we're helping to pay for a lot of these shelters, so it would be saving us our own money. Yeah,
That's even better.
yeah.
okay, so,
If we're buying it, why, we can't waive it ourselves?
So one of the possibilities is council can identify a different funding source to pay the $3,000 on behalf of DART. That's a possibility also, if you want to direct the manager to identify funds that would pay the fair market value back to the general fund. I mean, I suppose that's a
In
possibility.
future action.
Yeah.
yes, if you want to come up and state your name and address or ward, you have 2 minutes to speak on this item.
Thank you. Cortez Lamar Kellamille, Ward 1, 1343 13th Street. Native, thank you. I just wonder why there'd be an argument about this when, okay, yes, DART might be paying for, you know what I'm saying, to help ease the poverty in our community. But shouldn't all sections of society help and deal with this public crisis? Because I'm a victim of homelessness. I did 22 years for 21 grams of crack. I came home homeless. I got criminalized when I got home. So I had nowhere to live. I'm still struggling with that issue. But it's society's responsibility to take care of those who have not have the ability to take care of themselves, at least give them the means to get to that point. Then the boss said, yes, move forward with this bill. And then talk about how you can come up with better, you know what I'm saying, more reasonable solutions in the future. But don't stop it, because it aids and abets the homeless. Because they got it hard out there. I have it hard out there. But I fight every day to protect my community from government menace or labor menace. But I think all you guys owe the homeless something, you hear me? Hey, y'all can talk about how bad. I want to work with y'all as well. But I think we should move forward. Don't help the homeless, Joe Lotto. Hey, and they come up with better solutions after this, so we don't have to come to this.
Do we have a motion?
We have not.
I'm happy to move item 40, 40A, and 40B.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay.
Oh,
it's
we maybe have another speaker? Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Carol Maher. I live downtown in Ward 3, and I'm a DART rider, and I really appreciate the fact that we're going to get some more shelters, because not only is it rain and snow, but also heat that would be nice to have relief from. And the $200 per shelter is the right-of-way easement permit. So that's what that's for. So if you can waive that, that's okay. But I would certainly not hold this up, because as Councilmember Mandelbaum said, it's been a really long time. We've been waiting for these shelters, so it's exciting to move them forward. Thank you.
Just to be perfectly clear, I wasn't trying to hold anything up
We're
or
just
trying
trying to save
to
money.
stop anything.
Right, you're just trying to be helpful.
I was actually trying to help DART,
I
believe it or not.
I think it was helpful. I just want to make
Okay.
sure we keep going and preserve that sentiment.
Okay.
So I think it's good.
So moved and seconded.
Can we vote now?
Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
And Mayor, I would be interested in knowing annually what we've charged DART for those easements. That would be a good number just to know.
Yeah, I don't know how many new bus stops we put in lately, so we can find out.
Thank you.
Okay, item 41, on vacation of 2 irregular-shaped segments of undeveloped right-of-way located in the vicinity of 6200 Scout Trail, and release of the permanent easement for public right-of-way on said property. A is first consideration of the ordinance above. Anyone wishing to speak to this, you have 2 minutes to speak.
Seeing no one, I'm happy to move item 41, 41A, and pursuant to Rule 42A, I'd waive the second and third reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 42, on vacation of Southeast 14th Court right-of-way located north of East Edison Avenue. A is first consideration of ordinance above. Again, 2 minutes to speak. Anyone wishing to speak to this?
I see none, Your Honor. I'll move 42, 42A, and pursuant to Rule 42A, I'll waive the second and third reading.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote. Chris? Mr. Gordon?
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 43, on request from Iowa Pacific Processors, Inc., Mike Everett, officer, and City of Des Moines to amend Plan DSM, creating our tomorrow comprehensive plan to revise the future land use classification from business park to industrial, and to rezone parcels located in the vicinity of 2606 Sunset Road from EX Mixed Use District to Limited I-1 Industrial District to allow expansion of an existing industrial use. This has been continued from June 30th, 2025. A is first consideration of the ordinance above. B is final consideration of the ordinance above. Waiver requested by applicant requires 6 votes. The first persons that can speak are the parties in interest, and that's the applicant for rezoning and those within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned. Is anyone here to speak? If not, germane comments from the general public, 2 minutes per person. Anyone wishing to speak to that? I don't see anyone.
Seeing none, Mayor, I'll move item 43, 43A, and 43B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 44, on request from Angela Brown, owner, to amend the Plan DSM, creating our tomorrow comprehensive plan to revise the future land use classification of 1900 Arlington Avenue from low medium density residential to high density residential, and to rezone the property from N5 neighborhood district to N5-4 neighborhood district to allow reuse of the existing structure for multiple household residential use with up to 4 dwelling units. Choose one alternative below. A, deny, or B, approve. Require 6 votes to opposition of property owners. A, and 1 first consideration of ordinance above. Again, parties in interest, applicant for rezoning, and those within 250 feet of the property to be rezoned will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Is there anyone wishing to speak?
Hi, I'm Angela Brown. I'm the property owner. I reside at 33295 335th Street in Waukee, Iowa. I did meet with the Planning and Zoning a month ago to get approval to rezone, and I'm available for questions if you have any.
Thank you. Next speaker.
I'm Diana Rezak, and I live across the street from the property, and I oppose it. And do we have any way to visually show a map?
You can put it right on.
Right here? Like this?
Up. Put it up.
So the camera's up.
There.
Okay. So the property is the pink color there,
Okay.
okay? And the reason I'm opposing it is the fact that we have an overabundance of rental. And as you can see, all the yellow is rental. And I did not color in any rental that was a single family. I just colored in multi-units. And I'm aware that the owner purchased it knowing that it was to be single family and that it did not have a rental certificate. So I walked the neighborhood, which you're seeing right there, and I made note of the properties and the rental. If you look at Arlington 6th Avenue, that is 50 units. Right across the street in pink, that is 36 units. If you go to 1815, that's Arlington, that's the last yellow square, that's 36 units. And 253 Franklin, which is across the street from the property, is 36. So right there, we've got 158 rentals within eyeshot of my house at 1917. And it does not end and there. 1940 Arlington has 9, 1811 6th Avenue has 7, 1959 Arlington has 6, we have 5 at 319 Franklin. At 511 Franklin, we have 4. At 1825 Oakland, we have 4. At 1820 Oakland, we have 4. 1818 Arlington, we have 4. And 1814 Arlington, we have 4. At 1908 Arlington, we have 3. And we have 2 at 1924, 1926 Arlington, 2 at 401 Franklin, 2 at 513 Franklin, 2 at 516 Franklin. And at 1907, 1909 6th, and 1905 and 1903, we have another 2 each. So as you can see, my neighborhood is saturated by rental. If my arithmetic is correct, that's over 200 units. So in summary, I oppose rezoning it to a multi-unit due to the large amount of rental in the area. The Browns purchased the property knowing it was a single-family structure and it did not have a rental certificate, so they knew exactly what they're buying. I personally have nothing against the Browns. As previous resident and present owner in Sherman Hill, I know exactly what happens when you convert these houses that have been broken up into apartments and you bring them back to one-family units. And my taxes show it. They really show it. And so I would like to keep this a single-family property because I believe for the long run, for this neighborhood, Riverbend, it is to our advantage. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak? If not, yeah, I think we can open up to the general public then.
Is your screen just turned on?
Cortez Lamar Keller Mill, Ward 1, 1343 13th Street. I don't see, I mean, it's a nice inventory, but I don't see why it's an issue in a low-income area for there to be another multi-unit. I mean, you could convert it, you could wish to convert it into a single home, wish somebody would come buy the property. It could sit there dormant like so many abandoned properties already do sit dormant in my community. Or it could be turned into a, you know what I'm saying, multi-purpose unit. It could actually be rented out to college students and lower income people and things like that. Unfortunately, you live in a neighborhood that's actually saturated with lower income people. And so it requires, you know what I'm saying, a lot of, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, living units. And 200, I don't think is enough to supply my community, to be honest with you, in that area. I don't oppose it. I actually agree with it. I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, well.
I have questions for the property owner, if that's appropriate.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would just welcome understanding what your plan is, and particularly given it was purchased after having lost the rental certificate in the conforming use. I'd just like to understand that and what you see happening with the property. And I'd also welcome, if this is denied, what you see happening with the property as well.
Yeah, when we purchased the property, the comments on the listing was that the owner at that time was working on getting the renewal or getting the certificate renewed. So I had hoped that that would happen. By the time that the sale went through, it still hadn't taken place, so I was aware that it was still expired. My plans for the property, my husband and I have our home listed now, so we'll be moving into the property. We'll be owner occupied. When I met with the Planning and Zoning Committee, they agreed to reduce it from a 7-unit to a 4-unit, so we would occupy one of the units and just rent 3 of the lower units. So that's our plan.
Do you have long-term plans to turn it back into a single family?
I do not. No, the amount of expenses it's just too much. The other property owners had already renovated 4 of the 7 units, and we had started work on it, but we're not completed the renovations yet. But we don't have any plans to turn it into a single family.
So if this is rejected, I mean, if your plan is to live on the property, would you still live on the property if the rezoning was denied?
Yeah, I would live there while we're renovating.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else?
I don't have any questions, but I have some
Okay.
comments.
Okay, you can, I think everybody, if you want to have a seat.
I find these to be the toughest of questions, and we have vacant properties in Riverbend that has taken most of my attention. If I had to say one issue in the last couple of months, this has been a vacant property. We have a need for affordable housing. There's a lot of reasons to really consider this carefully, and so I appreciate the time that Angela and her husband have given me. We've met with them, had coffee. They met me on a Saturday afternoon, in fact, so that we could talk about a month ago. And she's taken time to visit with our staff in both planning and in trying to see if there wasn't access to additional government resources, federal grants or loans for this kind of project. So I think everybody has the best of intentions here, and you wish you could solve it. In this case, I'm going to oppose it, and I'll move it when I'm done talking. And I shared this with Angela ahead of time. The neighborhood is an amazing group of warriors that have really tried to reclaim their neighborhood, bring back some really cool housing stock, and I think they're worried that saying yes to one project means that we would be in a position where we'd eventually say yes to many projects. When we did a lot of work, they did the work, we made a vote to make sure this was zoned single-family housing. Everything was grandfathered in, but this property lost their grandfathering rights and returned to single-family. The council voted against this less than a year and a half ago, took it to the Zoning Board of Adjustment where they voted against it. And so for those reasons, I think it's hard for us to say that this is in a lot different position than it was right then. I do hope that we can continue to work with Angela and help her restore this home into an amazing place. And I do anticipate that she would go to the Board of Adjustment where there is, an ability to kind of negotiate some conditions and other things that like we all know, we don't control it from there. But I do think she'll take her right to go there. This requires a 6/7 vote because of the opposition of the neighborhood, and it's pretty strong in level of concern about what kind of project this would be. What is the budget? How much does it cost? There's a lot of asbestos on the siding and things like that. It spins into a very costly project. And we just need to ensure that kind of project can be done so that it would benefit the neighborhood in a big way, and I don't see this. I would just add a personal comment that one of the reasons why I'm opposing this is because I've watched the neighbors work hard in this area, and they've done it on everything from loitering and crime and, squatters in homes. Our zoning team has done amazing work over the last year to try and improve some properties, but these guys really want the city on their side, and they have a vision for what it can be, and so far it's worked. I was a little disappointed in the conversation at Planning and Zoning because I kind of felt like there was a sense that the neighbors were being snobbish or unwelcoming or worse, I guess was the insinuation. And I don't believe that to be true of these people. And so for all those reasons, I'm going to encourage Angela to make a pitch to the Zoning Board of Adjustment, which is a good way to do this kind of spot zoning. and to continue to work with her to see if she can't find the funds to rehab it into a spectacular single-family house. And as we all know, this morning's conversation about ADUs does change the nature of that project a little bit, maybe in ways that the neighborhood doesn't appreciate or all of us do, but there is an opportunity there. So that's my motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
I'll support the motion. I don't feel great about it. I mean, this is just a tough situation, and I think Councilmember Coleman talked about these are some of the most difficult things that we have to do. And I would say, like, if this was coming to us with a different posture, I'm maybe one of the only folks who, I lived in a house that I was the first renter after new owners bought it. It was a house that was split up. They moved in on the first floor, and they rented out the top 2 floors, it was a three-unit place. That home is now converted back to a single family. And part of what made that possible was the fact that they had the rental income to help support and maintain the home. I had I spent a good chunk of my college and 20s in rental properties. That was the most responsive landlord I ever had, was when I was living right above my landlord. And so I think an arrangement like this can work, and I really do hope that we continue to work with Angela. I mean, it's great that they're making the commitment to move from Waukee into Des Moines and to invest in a home that's going to need a lot of love and a lot of work. And this was a way to help make that happen. And so I hope in future situations, and I hope things can be addressed in front of Zoning Board of Adjustment. I know the new ADU at least would allow one rental unit and would provide at least some of that option there. But I hope we can figure out a better way, because it's not always easy to go straight from a home that has been broken up back to single family, but an owner-occupied situation feels very different to me, and feels like something that we should work to encourage. I don't have the answer sitting here today, but I wanted to at least, as we're thinking about a housing strategy, as we're thinking about tools that Invest DSM has, a situation like this might be the type of thing where we encourage owner-occupied conversion back in the future.
If I could just add one thing, I'm going to support the motion too. With the ADU changes, we know that you could have 2 units there. I would be remiss if we didn't talk about Neighborhood Finance Corporation, which has a great program to turn multi-unit houses into single-family homes. I would encourage you to look into that. I mean, I've looked on the assessor. I know how much you paid for it. I know what it's assessed for. You've got a piece of property that you've already got equity in.
Yeah.
And I think there's some other programs too that you could take advantage of, so to connect.
There are other programs.
So with that, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote. I guess most have.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 45, closing public hearing on approval of amending the franchise fee in Section 6, heretofore granted to Iowa Power and Light Company, predecessor in interest to Mid-American Energy Company, and increasing the franchise fee pursuant to Iowa Code Sections 364.2, 4F, and 384.3A, 3J. A is first consideration of ordinance above. We have germane comments from the public for 2 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak to this? If not, I'll entertain.
Seeing none, I'm happy to move this item. I don't know what the discussion will be, but so the public knows, this is the franchise fee to help with with transit funding. And I think that this is an important tool for us to use for a really important service for our residents. And I know there's a lot more work to be done, and that the DART Commission is working through the Reimagine DART process, and there will need to be more conversations going forward. But funding and providing the funding that we can, as soon as we can, is a really important piece of this, and one of the reasons why getting this done quickly, waiting an additional month can be the difference with some of the projections between an additional year of stability 5 or 6 years down the road. And so getting this in place as soon as possible, I think, is really important. I appreciate the mayor getting it on the agenda and all of the work. I know it's probably one of the trickiest set of issues, and I know the mayor is doing good work on the DART Commission and trying to navigate a lot of different challenges and competing interests. Giving the mayor and our representatives at DART the most flexibility is, I think, one of the things that will serve us well going forward. And so I hope we do this, and if the support is there, I think it would be advantageous to waive the second and third reading. And I don't know if the votes are there, and if I can go back and do that after. I'll move 45 and 45A and let people make their comments, but if the votes are there, I would love to go back and waive the second or third reading, because even a month's time will make a difference in terms of long-term sustainability.
I will gladly second it.
Okay, any comment? Any other comments? If not,
I'll make a couple of comments. What this equates to is it's a tax. It's a tax to the residents that live in the city of Des Moines. And I understand that we owe DART $2 million. Okay, I would be okay with a franchise fee to do that $2 million, but then it's got to stop there, because I've sat on this council for 10 years now, and we've asked DART, let's come up with a sustainable plan, let's talk about what's going to work, and we haven't really got a lot of, I haven't got a lot of satisfaction about what they're going to do. I like the franchise fee rather than raising property taxes, because franchise fees are paid by everybody. So those nonprofits that are not paying anything right now would be paying. But I have a real problem with saying, okay, we're going to increase 2.5% when we know that we have serious budget issues. I think we need a fire station. We need other things in this city. And, we have a $17 million deficit that we had to really struggle with. I support DART, but I think there needs to be conversations about exactly where this money is going and what happens in 5 years. Are you not sustainable then? Because I haven't seen anything showing me that they're going to make a change. They've offered two options, either more routes or more
coverage or
service
ridership
times, or we could have more coverage. But that doesn't really tell me what you're going to do to be sustainable. You've got an app that doesn't always work. You've got other issues that haven't been addressed. So I'm going to struggle to support it.
first of all, this franchise fee can only go, the legislatures let everyone know. The legislature passed that only one city over, or any city over 200,000 could have a franchise fee for transit. So as most people know in Iowa, we are the only one. So they gave us this option, so this can only be used for transit.
I do know that, and I wasn't on the council when that was passed, but I obviously engaged a lot. I'll make an early prediction right now that that chapter changes and it goes effective for cities under 200,000 as soon as we pass it and we're locked in. And like Scott knows my opinion about this and how easy it would be. I do think that I won't be here and when the legislature, but I would be shocked. I do want to, if I can, and I don't want to drag this out, but I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. In February, I supported it. The manager made a recommendation. I printed it off here. It was a little bit longer, but it said he recommends this, including recommending appropriate conditions or qualifications regarding the assessment and the use of the funds, that the manager and the attorney are directed to work toward an understanding with DART regarding its funding formula and government's model, all of which are agreeable to council and consistent with Iowa code. And I don't see any of that, not a word of it. In fact, in the actions that we have tonight, you can barely read that there's a tax or that it's going to DART. Like, it's very mysterious. So on that's number one. Number two, I do want to say that I think two people are in a really tough situation, and that is Amanda, the leader of DART, and Mayor Bozen. I think both of them are doing outstanding things. I think a big mistake was made in 2017 when we had a controversial vote to push through. It was a vote that I didn't support, but I think we continue to see the ramifications of that, and I have a lot of regret of that. I do want to make a couple of points because I think it is of interest to the taxpayers. I think all of this is data that I've shared with you individually or collectively before. I might throw it up on the screen just so people could follow if that's
You want
okay.
to pass it down, or you want to go up? Do you want to pass it down?
Well, there's a couple of them. Can you see that? So I just, you want me to talk here or go back to my seat?
Just stay there.
Okay, the first one, Amanda was kind enough to help me. This is something she sent me yesterday. We had a little back and forth last week. This is the recommendation to the DART Commission at their last meeting, I think. The meeting before that, but in the last 45 days. You'll see what the rates will be in terms of contribution from cities from now going forward. One of the things that I said in February is that in order for this to earn my support, we had to make sure that if the city generates $7 million or $8 million, the DART budget needed to go up by $7 million or $8 million. I want to show you something. These numbers are converted here. And so each community, well, I better lower it. So 2026, 2027, 2028 here. In between there, in red and green, is whether or not their contribution is going up or down. All of the red on that chart is the amount of decrease in funding that all the other cities that are members of DART are contributing to DART, while our fees are skyrocketing. By the way, this is after we've already started to contribute money through the franchise fee. So right now we're more like $9 million, we jump to 12, and then we go from there. Importantly, at the bottom, I want to show you these numbers. Des Moines increased in funds. The new investment there between the 12.3 and the 14.4 is $2 million. If you go to the bottom and you compare the total amount of contributions from the metro areas, we go from 31.0 to 31.4. That means that 400,000 new dollars are available to DART. So we have to ask ourselves, of the $2 million that we're providing to DART, where is it going? The citizens of Des Moines are writing checks to suburban property owners, in essence. It's like reverse Robin Hood. We're stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. And this has been the source of my frustration all along. If we could just get the suburbs to say that DART was important enough that they would not insist on a cut in funds to DART, that they would just stabilize it. I would buy the property or the funding formula if we said from here on out the growth has to be 50% on Des Moines. I've proposed a dozen different solutions. It is frustrating. I also just want to say, because I know people are going to vote for it, here's the legislation. We haven't talked about this much, but I'm going to talk about it because the largest lawsuit ever against the city of Des Moines was over the franchise fee. When the council decided to vote for it and didn't take it to a referendum. That was 2004. We went through gymnastics for a decade trying to win a lawsuit, repay, generate funds. Jeff did amazing work on that, and it was problematic. You can see that it's pretty clear right here. Such an ordinance shall not become effective unless approved by election. If you dig into there are, and you can't see it as well, it's underlined here. I don't want you to think I was hiding it, but it does say the city can exempt itself from a referendum. That's what we would be doing tonight. We've never talked about that so far. The law is we have to have a referendum unless certain conditions are made, and the council exempts themselves from it. That's the law that Connie referenced. And it's not hard, like to go to the voters and get their consent. Here from 2014, when we finally finished what was called the Cragna suit. We went, it was the last time we raised it from 5 cents to 7.5, we went for a referendum. So on top of all the things that I think are unfair about our relationship with DART on behalf of the taxpayers, I also have some qualms as somebody that voted for this, got sued, went through depositions, and eventually fixed it through a referendum. Again, I'd love to be supporting this. DART needs more of our money. We have to find a tool, but we're going to solve it again for another decade if we give money without insisting on changes in governance and funding formula.
I just want to be clear on the
I
governance.
got a copy for
and
everybody too. You can have those.
That is a discussion that we've had with the DART Commission, that if Des Moines would do this, we would be asked to, and in the Reimagine, to review the governance and the formula. Based on the fact that we don't have the redesign done yet, and we know that based on the formula, whether we like how the new formula came up how in 2017, it is the formula because we have the highest percent of ridership. So when you talk to other commissioners, is Des Moines has the highest percentage of ridership and compared to their communities. So it's the ongoing, that's why we're doing Reimagine. That's why I said before we do any franchise fee, we needed to have a review on how we were doing transit. And so it's kind of, we have one thing here and getting the money so we have enough for the formula. And it's a matter of seeing, not only do we have MPO doing a transit study based on the finances of how it impacts the region. Just because you might not have a riders in your community, you have a lot of riders coming to your community for a workplace. So what is the economic impact? So we're looking at that. So is this a way to say, we will start collecting, I don't believe it goes until
3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months. But at this point, if we believe in transit, and we have the highest ridership, it's a system to try to keep it going. And again, it's all about how we can do it for long term. And that's what the Reimagine's all about, is how we can sustain. This is not unusual. There's many communities dealing with the same thing. Public transit takes public funds.
Mayor, may I make a few comments?
Sure.
I support this for several reasons. Number one, the transit system is a regional system. It's not a city of Des Moines transit system. Having said that, we all recognize that Des Moines has by far the greatest ridership. I want to put our best foot forward because we as Des Moines are the only city that has this as an option. I don't take it lightly. We certainly pay enough in taxes. My God, when I look at how much we pay in federal taxes, I just shudder. This is a mechanism that we and we alone have. I want to exercise it, and I want to exercise it today because we are telling our suburban partners that we are in this for the long haul. Another option is just let the suburbs fall off and we're on our own. And we're still going to have to infuse more money. I want to put our best foot forward and say to our neighboring communities, we are in this with you. Let's complete the study, and we're going to have many more conversations once the study is complete, because it may be a completely different system. and we're going to have to talk about how we're going to pay for it. But I support this 100%. Thank you.
So Mayor, and I appreciate everyone's comments, and Amanda, amazing job you've done since you've stepped in. You know, there's been a lot of truthful comments that came out of your mouth, other than in the past. That hasn't always happened with the person in your position. Mayor, you're doing an amazing job as the chair. And, you know, I was probably okay with this until last Monday, when we had a workshop about public safety. And it all comes down to prioritizing. And we need to prioritize, first off, public safety. DART is definitely a priority, but where does it fit in? I'm not sure right now, because right now, the plan that we've got really isn't real sustainable. Just like Councilman Simon said, once the study comes back, we might be asked to go to the general fund and give more money. We don't know what it is or what we're going to do. We're signing up for something right now that our voters haven't voted for it. That March 4th was the day of my election in 2014. I remember that day well, that the franchise fee was voted on. That was a special election because of that and because of this seat that Carl had filled for a few months. So I do remember that whole thing quite well. I'd hate to see us be put back into that position. You know, when we talked earlier about this, governance and funding should have always been together. We have the most ridership, but we don't have the most say. We're giving the most money. We don't have the most say in any of it, which we used to have a much better say at the table than what we do now once the governance got changed. Those are problematic things, because I believe once this money is, Des Moines in, they're getting the franchise fee, nobody on the suburbs is going to change any type of governance. Nobody's going to change that they're going to give more money. They're going to go off that chart that Councilmember Coleman, that their property taxes are going to be reduced by our franchise fee. Yes, we have the most riderships, but we've always had the most riderships. When MTA went to DART, we still had the most ridership, and there was an agreement between all of the elected officials then that once we got to the maximum amount, everyone would get to that 94 cents, 95. Once we got to 95, or we were getting close, they were looking at the writing on the wall. That's when the governance changed. That's when the funding changed. And that's, to me, that's not going to help. I agree with you. We might be on our own doing this. You know what? I might feel better about voting for it if we were on our own, to be honest with you, because then we could know what service we're going to provide to our citizens. But right now, we don't know what service we're providing, but we do know that we're going to tack on something on their gas and electric bill. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable for that because of prioritizing. What we need to do at this table, first and foremost, is to figure out how we're going to protect our citizens and make sure that our city is safe with first responders. Because right now, when we start talking about pulling frontline apparatus out of service, that's an equation for people to die, and I'm not going to do that. If everyone else is comfortable with that, I'm not. But I know it's been a short time week that I can't get a long-term plan, and I do understand that, but I won't support it right now. And maybe when we go forward, we'll see how things go. But I can't support this the way as it sits right now.
This also has a sunset, correct? So, okay.
Both of these have a
5.
Both have a 5-year, right?
It's been a while, has it been moved?
Yeah.
And seconded.
Do the general public get to comment?
We did that. Oh, maybe we did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. All right.
Okay.
Sounds
This
good.
time it's voted.
4 yes, 3 no.
Motion carries. Next item is 36.
closing public hearing on approval of amending the franchise fee in section 6 heretofore granted to Midwest Gas Company, predecessor in interest to Mid-American Energy Company, and increasing the franchise fee pursuant to Iowa Code sections 364.2, 4F, and 384.3A, 3J. A is for consideration of the ordinance above. Again, germane comments, the general public, would you like?
Mayor, if I could just real quick, just for clarity for the public, the first vote was on the electricity. This is a very similar franchise for the gas consumption.
So it's basically the same thing. So,
Well, we won't repeat all of our comments.
is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, so I'm happy to move this item, and 46A. I do want to say, I mean, there are a couple of things that I want to point out and that we make clear for the general public. This is not just going, there are multiple suburbs who are also increasing the funding. Just even in the chart that council, I'll put that back up. Over on the side. Even in the chart that Councilmember Coleman put up, there are going to be 3 other communities that are paying more. One of the communities that is paying less is paying 100% less because they're leaving. And part of what we're doing is we're filling the gap that is left by communities leaving. And that's one of the challenges with all of this. I know that the mayor is strongly advocating for those changes to governance and for addressing the funding formula, which can be addressed once it's in order in this process. And I know the mayor is not going to back away from that. She's going to be an advocate, and she's going to balance the interests. But we need to give space, and we need to show that we are going to be a partner as well. And this is a service. This is the only thing that we can do with these dollars. We can't, it's not about prioritization. We can't use these dollars to fund apparatus. We can only use this for transit. It's not a choice today between keeping Engine 8 in Station 8, which I fully support keeping Engine 8 in Station 8, right? It's not a choice about that. It's a choice about whether or not we fund transit service, a service that our residents use and need. And we will continue to have conversations and continue to work to improve it and continue to address those things that I think Councilmember Coleman and others want. But it is something that others in the community, others are continuing to contribute, and we're going to need their partnership because there are a lot more folks in Des Moines that rely on this service than in the suburbs. And the suburbs, we're still getting a good deal in terms of this. We could not provide the same level of service we provide today without the suburbs if we were going it alone. If we go it alone, that's less service for our residents, and there are folks who absolutely need that service.
And I think, too, within the service, even for the people that are pulling out, they're having a dilemma on figuring out how to do their paratransit. So I think that that's another discussion that we all have to have, is if there isn't a big transit use, what is it worth to have a paratransit system? And, when you pull out, sometimes they kind of forget that part of it. And so I think, again, we have the most developed routes. We are the oldest community. We have the best lines, east, west, north, south. It makes transit easier than in some of our suburban communities. But we're also looking at how you can incorporate more microtransit, which if some communities have done that, they've increased their ridership because it gets people to the route. So we're looking at all that within the Reimagine. And also then we'll be looking at the funding, and we will be looking at governance, because I believe it's important as we go up, if we're going to that portion, then there needs to be a different model. Again, trying to work through all the communities and all the needs, and everybody's got pressure on financing. And the other thing we're looking for is another way to finance transit besides property tax. That is the crux of all. I think we're the only community in US, or pretty much. Very few communities rely on property tax or the property tax way to fund a transit system. But I would tell you, other communities are all having problems. Again, it's a public transit, it is expensive, and we're just trying to make sure that we have the best we can for the people that really do need it. So with that, Carl, Mr. Voss?
Sure.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion. And Mr. Voss?
I think with this vote and the discussion here that the governance must change, not look at change, but the must change, so.
Okay.
So
With
just real quick, since Josh pointed out Engine 8, and that was part of my comment, we've never asked if this franchise fee can be used for any public safety. We've never, this was implemented for public transit. We've never asked the legislation to say, hey, we need to start building more stations. Can we use part of this franchise fee? Can we change the law to use part of this franchise fee to maybe help start building some stations? Because they do like public safety up there. But we never asked them to do
Well-
that. So to your point, right, it can't be used, but we've never asked them.
That was the prediction I made, and
Okay.
it takes one letter of the alphabet.
Well,
Yes,
the-
right. I understand.
That's a forward.
I understand.
I just want to make one comment. When I asked Scott about this over the weekend, we're already collecting a 5% franchise fee that's not going to transit. The 5% goes into the operating budget.
Right.
So what's the difference? I mean,
It's what they wrote in legislation.
Here, these.
So it's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Take away the 5.
4 yes, 3 no.
Motion carries. Item 47 on 2025 Riverwalk improvements, balustrade replacement, resolution approving plan specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, and receive and file bids, and designating the lowest responsible bidder as Minturn Inc., Clinton M. Rhodes, President, $232,375. Council Communication Number 25-277. A is approving contract and bond. General public may comment only to the plans, specifications, form of documents, engineer's estimate, or low bidder designation, and those will be the only comments to be considered germane. Anyone wish to speak to this?
Seeing none, I'll move item 47 and 47A.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 48 is to reject all bids on Nahas pool equipment replacement and close hearing on the plans, specifications, form of contract documents, and engineer's estimate. Council Communication Number 25-278. Again, general comments to the plans. Anyone wishing to speak to this?
Seeing none, I'll move item 48.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
31.
Okay, we'll go back to 31 is the grant funding agreement with Youth and Shelter Services, Inc., I believe. That was Councilman Coleman.
I wanted to thank the manager for bringing this forward, but in particular, thank Polk County. Several of us have met a couple of times about this. I know we don't have ongoing funding, and you found 1 year of funding. I think I sent a question or comments about making sure that we can work with them on their location, which I think drives a lot of the cost, and other things, just to make sure that we're still in partnership with them. I just wanted to say thanks, and especially thanks to Polk County, and to kind of acknowledge publicly that I think the communication says it's for 1 year, and that's what we were able to come up with.
Second. Did you move it?
Move it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Item 35, Councilman Gatto would like to
Sure.
speak to this. Let me read it. Purchase from Piggott Inc., care of Herman Miller Inc., John Stenberg, owner of furniture service for the TM Franklin County City Administration Building at 1200 Locust Street, using short form agreement and State of Iowa participating addendum to the Omnia Partners contract, $1,170,825.25. Council Communication number 25-265.
Thanks, Mayor. I brought this up. It kind of shocked me when I seen it on the consent. Back in 2017, we furnished this building with new desks and new furniture from the same company, $239,000. We purchased the Nationwide building furnished, desk, tables, chairs, everything was in there. So when I see almost $1.2 million for furniture, and I understand, I didn't ask the question, but I seen somebody else ask the question, so it must have caught somebody else's attention. $400,000 is for installation of, must be cubicles or desks, which is fine. I just going back, this money can be used on engineering. This is a CIP budgeted that we didn't probably have $1.2 million worth budgeted. So I just wanted to point that out, that as we continue down this, until we get an answer and a long-term plan about frontline apparatus and fire department and staffing and fire stations on the south side, you'll probably hear a lot more from me about things when we're just going to continue to spend money and not prioritize. So somebody else can move it. I just wanted to make a statement about it because this is, I won't support this.
I think
looks a
you
little
make-
extreme.
Comment too.
Go ahead.
Several of us were on council when we closed this building, we put all of this money in it to rehab it. We actually moved to the Municipal Service Center for a year or two. We put all this money in it, and I heard, this is going to be a grand place, we can stay here forever. Then all of a sudden, we're spending $45 million for an empty building that is completely furnished. And now we need to spend another $1 million to buy furniture for it? I'm the one who asked the question because, to me, there's a better way to spend your tax dollars than to put it into buildings that we rehab and then we're going to move out. And it just doesn't make sense to me. We have budget issues, and our police and fire are the most important services that we offer. People don't care about what building you're going to be in.
Any other comments?
I think these two make really good points. I will move it so that we can take action on it and move forward. And, maybe Scott, it's wise to take a bid project look at the expenditures and where we are, and if we're on the budget that was originally approved. I wasn't here when it was, when the offer was made and processed, but
I think that when you have that big a project of, 300,000, I mean, if a lot of the building's been gutted to reconfigure, so I'm sure a lot of the furniture that maybe we had there isn't there. And
Correct.
the people from the Armory, their equipment, or their office, I'm sure is not very new.
We're able to reuse a lot of their equipment as well. So this is for over 400 workspaces, which is the cubicles and the furniture. This is an incredibly reasonable price, although I am hearing counsel about why are we even doing it.
Okay.
I just don't know how, has the price increased so much since 2017 where
It
we
depends how many.
spent $239,000 that we okayed to move back into this building for basically the same thing that we're buying for over there. It's just, maybe it's not, you're shaking your head, so I don't,
So we had
I don't
about
know.
90.
It says furniture, and that's really all it says for both.
So we had only about 90 employees here This contract is for over 400 workspaces.
Okay.
So that's the magnitude change.
It's 4.5
Yes.
times that.
And we are utilizing every piece of furniture and cubicle that we can. And we will have some left over for the potential to use
For the place.
in the future as well. So it's
What
an
was the
incredibly
revenue that you sold? Because I know there was lots of stuff in there that was sold. What did we get for any type of revenue for that?
I don't know if we have. We can definitely check that. Do you know that offhand?
That's okay.
And most of that was only stuff that we knew we would not be able to reuse.
Yeah, they sold stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, knowing who was in that space, that the cubicles were the size of a phone booth. So I don't doubt that we want a little bit better working environment for our folks. And again, I wasn't part of this either, but hopefully this is going to be a.
It just took me back with
Yeah.
that amount, after going back and looking at 2017, because I knew we had spent for this building, the same thing, basically. So
Kinda went back
that's
to-
where I kind of took a step back, like, okay, this seems like a lot.
I think the whole purchase was a cost saving because the building they were going to build across the street was at least 36 million for 100,000 square feet,
Less than that.
less than that.
Way
And you
less.
get 300,000, the potential the police will be moving in. So from an advantage of the taxpayer, we are coming out, I believe, still ahead by
Oh,
getting
way.
services all together. And then we also have the opportunity to redevelop the armory and maybe sell that or do something with it.
We'll
Don't
be
know what's
giving that
happening here.
away.
So anyway, it's been moved and seconded, I believe.
Not seconded.
Was there a
Second.
second? Who seconded it?
Second.
You just
Okay,
did.
thank you, it's been seconded. Please vote.
6 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. The next item, 49, receive and file a Des Moines Citywide Housing Strategy with amendments and refer the strategy to the city manager to direct preparation of individual action items for future council consideration. Council Communication Number 25-73. Is there any comments? I know we had a work session where we had a lot of discussion on this.
I'll make a couple of comments. I understand that we're just receiving and filing this housing strategy report, and that's fine, but again, I feel like we're going to file it, and then a few months now, we're going to say, oh, well, but we approved this plan. We approved it, so we're going to move forward. And I'm not comfortable with approving it, even with the amendments that were given. I have a problem with the entire study because we have housing partners right here in the city that we didn't even bother to talk to. And they should have been included in any discussions that we had. Instead, we spent a lot of money to hire an East Coast consultant to come in and give us this housing strategy. And I was here for the very first presentation, and it was offensive. It was offensive to the citizens who live in the city of Des Moines when he says, well, we should just tear down blocks and blocks of buildings. Now, I know for the second one, somebody talked to him, and he came back, and it was softened up a little bit. But it's still bothersome. How are we going to pay for this? Because when I've asked, they've said, well, we'll just, we'll bond for it. Well, what does that mean, folks? That means that your property taxes are going to go up. I don't think people want their taxes to go up just for this plan, that we're not being clear what is happening. And I think our housing partners should be included in any discussion. Community housing initiatives, neighborhood finance, Home Inc., those folks were left off of this discussion. I think that there are other ways that we can do to improve the housing and help our city. We need to be easier to work with. We did away with our planned unit developments a few years ago in 2018 when we changed our zoning. We need to bring that back. That was, the PUDs worked. and it worked well, and we said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We just need to have more discussion about zoning and how we can make it easier. We don't need another plan that we've spent all this money on, because we got a whole room full of plans back there that are just sitting there that we haven't been able to do anything with. So if we're really going to get serious, then there needs to be hard discussions with many people. In the blue letter, you printed out people that were involved in this strategy. I've reached out to some of them and they said, yeah, we attended a meeting, but that was really it. I don't think we really involved them. And I don't see any of our housing partners on this list. I don't see NFC. I don't see community housing initiatives. I don't see those people. So that's my comment. I mean, I know tonight we're just moving to receive and file.
Okay.
Mayor, to
Councilman
Councilperson
Simon.
Westergaard's comments, I'm pleased that we're not calling this a plan. I had heard it called a plan. What we are receiving and filing is a strategy. I found the information to be very helpful, very informative. The hard work is yet to come. We do need a plan. We need a plan with a schedule. We need to set priorities, and we and the public as a whole and all of the various partners that have made Des Moines need to be part of that process. So I would just add what I would be looking for from the city manager is in outline form, the plan, talking about options for funding. I'd like to hear staff's ideas of prioritization, and we're going to have some back and forth because I don't know that any of us at this dais support every component that's in this strategy, but it's only a strategy. We will have the opportunity to put the plan together, and I'm looking forward to working on that.
Councilman Buss.
Yes, so after we vote on this tonight, will someone integrate these changes into the first part of the strategy so we can have a copy with everything?
And then will we have a detailed plan after that? That you're with a timeline and funding?
12, 18 months.
That is the next step at that point.
And so can I lobby now for my at-large and my mayor since the start of Invest DSM? I've watched this money get floated throughout the entire city, and I don't get any in Ward 4, but maybe just a few blocks. Can I?
They're important blocks.
Well,
Yeah.
they are very important.
Well, that's why this strategy
But I've watched, and I travel around to other parts of the city where there's been massive investments, $60 million worth of investments, because that's what we've put in there and that's what the county's put in there. In Ward 4, very, very, very few of that $60 million. So I'm gonna look to both of you, Mike, Carl, and to you, Connie, that I hope to see a different strategy coming out of Invest DSM. Please, because it's not fair to only certain parts of the city, and I understand that, yeah, we're trying to, there's parts of Ward 4 that we can increase the valuation, and I hope that we look at that and we try to do that.
I think that very much looking at some neighborhoods. And then with this strategy helps give us the opportunity to get into more neighborhoods.
Okay, I said my piece. I'll support it.
Message received.
Okay.
Joe, your ward is fortunate to have you. You're an advocate.
That's why I was elected.
Partners included.
Well, they will be. I think that was part of the strategy, is that you will bring more people included in the strategy to get neighborhoods. Not in the committee, maybe not in the committee, but there will be discussion with everybody. Everybody plays a part to it. You can't do this kind of reorganization and redevelopment without hitting every partner you can.
So part of your plan is going to be NFC, NDC,
Right.
Invest DSM, all of the partners, you're going to develop a plan,
How everybody can fit in and
how
work
everyone
with
can
it.
fit in,
Right.
with the timeline, with different funding sources of how we're going to do this.
Specific purpose.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
New,
All right.
And Linda, that's, this
It
is,
is a ton of work, and it's going to take a little bit of time.
But those housing partners have already been here doing the work for a long, long
But-
time.
Well, we're going
yes,
to get them
but we
involved
have a
now.
lot of work to do. If you look at the city infrastructure and our housing stock, that was what that report was supposed to do, was really to identify what is our housing stock. And if we want to do the services and everything
I
that
understand.
everybody wants, we have got to make sure that every piece of property is of the value it should be, not increased to a degree that people can't afford, but what the value it should be. So every empty lot, every boarded up building we have, every empty place, we need to make it of value. Rebuild it, put something new, put more density, and create opportunities for more affordability along with other price, we need a variety of price points. So,
and Linda, I think this is the third time I've heard PUDs mentioned in the last week, so.
Isn't there, it's not called PUD, but it's called large,
Large parcel.
large, what is it, Mike?
Large-scale development.
Yes. And that works
Similar.
very, very similar to PUD.
For large-scale projects.
Is that not what PUDs was for?
PUDs were, could have been quite small.
You could have, had to be 2 acres.
Well,
They would get.
maybe as a diocese up here, maybe we
that's-
need to,
well,
we need to revisit the
but that is
PUD.
also part of it, that they were going to be looking at codes and things, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
see a lot of people shaking their head about PUDs up here, so maybe that's a direction that Scott needs to have our staff maybe start looking into that.
I think they were talking about looking at
a little bit
codes.
better.
They already said.
I've definitely seen more than 4 people shaking their head about PUDs.
Yeah.
But I
It
think
was.
that was,
Yeah.
yeah, back to that, okay.
It was a yes shake, not a no
Councilman
shake.
Mandelman. Councilman Coleman, whichever one wants to go first.
Go ahead.
I'll be brief. I did send something around. I think the mayor said this pretty good. Somebody said this is a plan, somebody said it's a strategy. Just from where I sit, it feels like it's an alarm. And I think what it does is it says that your eyes are bigger than your stomach in Des Moines. You can't afford the services that you want to provide your people if our housing stays on the same track that it's been on. And I think we are well served not to embrace every strategy in there, because I don't agree with everything in there, but I think we're really wise to embrace this as a moment that a really smart, well-studied expert from out of town came and gave us the benefit of saying, you're getting close to a cliff where your city is not sustainable financially. And when almost all of our revenues comes because of how valuable property is, we have to do things differently. The one thing that I would like, and the managers heard me say this before, in fact, just last week, I do think we need a specific strategy to compete with what is being built in the suburbs. Larger, sometimes, more well-appointed product that will compete. Every weekend I go to church, I learn another family that had no option to go somewhere with an HOA or someplace that was a little bit more maintenance-free or just newer so less stuff broke, or, in Beaverdale we got water in the basement and, like all those kinds of things. I know somebody that did a great infill project that is, everybody living there, if they weren't living there, they'd probably be in one of the suburbs, and we have to compete there. And I think one of the things is just coming to the rationalization that there are limited places right now in the city where you could build $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 properties. And we ought to have a strategy to protect those and incentivize those so that we can be a city that is home to people of all income levels. I passed something out. Our property values have gone up faster than the suburbs. That's a huge compliment to the decisions the council's made over the last, 5, 6, 7 years, each of you. But as a percentage, it's going up. But we start so low, we aren't really getting to the level where it's paying for the services that we need. And so I view this as an alarm that we really, you want to put that up?
Did you want this for the public record?
Receive and file it? Yeah, maybe do that.
So it's on the.
I can show it real quick. Or, this is, it's amazing when you have 1 million visitors a day on a website, what kind of data you get. This is from Zillow. And so if you look at this to the right, you'll see that there are cities there that are all about the same price point. Des Moines is the orange one in the middle, so the legend is right at the bottom of it. So our average home value is significantly less. And if you just flip to the next page, I took those numbers just for the public. If you flip, I took those numbers, the before and after, 2017 to 2025. As I mentioned, our property values have gone up substantially more. But even us doing a good job driving market and demand for our houses, we still don't have an increase in dollars. And, you know, you fill potholes with dollars, not percentages. And we have to do better. Right now, we're 59% the value of West Des Moines. And I put this up there as a compliment to West Des Moines, not trashing them. But they're a good model for the kind of housing stock they've built in that category of what we need. And the things they've done to encourage that. Even if we were just 70% of the value, it would increase every house by $40,000. Just being 70% of the value of West Des Moines, we would generate $20 million a year in property taxes from our residents.
To help pay for homelessness.
Homelessness, well, I listed them,
Housing,
transit,
yeah.
police, fire, ION, enforcement. I mean, this study is an alarm that says if you can't do that, you're not going to be able to afford the services. And every year we don't do it, the suburbs are going to provide more services, be more attractive, and people are going to make the decision to not live in Des Moines. This is a gift.
I have some really beautiful green space in Ward 4 that has getting sewer and water now that would be prime for development like this. And I would encourage us to, you know, our planners to get involved with some builders and incentivize that type of development in those areas, because that's what the residents of Easter Lake want.
Yes.
More?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
But, I mean, I agree with pieces of what's been said. I maybe have some disagreement with some pieces, but I want to just start, you know, I've had some concerns with the consultant study, but I want to just contextualize, because I think there's room to do things in a way that can bring everyone along. And I start with the goal, it actually is not far from what Councilmember Coleman said. You know, when I look at housing, I want to make sure that no matter who you are, no matter what stage in life you're at, you can find housing that meets your needs at a price you can afford in Des Moines. And that includes affordable housing for folks who need it. It includes, you know, meeting some of those higher end. It's all of it. I want you to be able to find whatever you are looking for in this metro here in Des Moines, because I don't like folks moving to the suburbs, and I think we can meet the needs of anyone who lives in this community right here in Des Moines. And I think that should be the guiding principle. And I think there's a lot in the housing strategy that does that. And I think part of what this is, it's a resource allocation and prioritization. I think we absolutely need to be improving and maximizing the value of all of our properties. I think InvestDSM has done some really good work. You walk some of those neighborhoods and you see the difference, and the residents see the difference. And I think there are really good pieces there. I also think we have to have hard conversations, because I think I have questions in terms of, you know, when we talk about getting the value out and maximizing the value. I know that there's some pieces of what we're doing where there's a really big subsidy involved. And is that the best way to maximize, if our goal is to maximize the value, what's the best way to do it? And I want to focus on some of the things that I like. And I should also acknowledge the work that went in to the blue letter, the council communications, because I'd raised concerns, and I could tell that staff was really grappling with the concerns that I raised. And so I want to focus on the things that I like that are in the blue letter. In particular, I think part of this strategy, if we want to maximize value, I think the node and corridor piece of this strategy can't be overlooked. I think, one of the things that's different, we have a different layout than the suburbs. We have an older housing stock. I don't think it should be our goal to be a suburb. I think we should compete with our own character. And part of what that means, and I think part of the advantage that we have over the suburbs, is our nodes and corridors. We can create special places that are connected to neighborhoods that they can't do. The way that they are set up, part of what makes them transit inaccessible, part of what makes a whole host of other things, they do commercial on these big strips that they're big divides between their neighborhood. We can create places along our nodes and corridors. And that's one of the things that I think InvestDSM has done well, is that connection between neighborhoods and nodes and corridors, and thinking about that. That also happens to be a place where we can build dense housing and affordable housing and make sure that we still capture that affordability piece. Because some of what is happening, and it's okay, right? Because it's part of, we're converting, for example, some of our homes that never were meant to be rental properties, that were broken up into 4 or 5 rentals and that might be substandard. And we're converting them back into great single-family homes. But I want to make sure that the people who lived in those homes can still find a place that they can afford in Des Moines. And we can do some of that on the corridors, and we can make a better option for them. And so I hope we don't lose sight of that piece, because I think that's better. There's a lot of discussion on how do you make housing it easier to build some housing. We've had some discussions as a council. There were a number of, I think, important ideas acknowledged in there, from looking at on the infill, and I think you see it with some of what InvestDSM has done, minimum lot size, so that sometimes we get a property, and one of the ways that you really can increase a property, a vacant lot that it might be a little bigger and you can get 2 or 3 homes, that's a great way to increase value. And there are a number of places where InvestDSM has taken what was a single home that was in substandard condition, and you replace it with 3 new homes. That's a great way to transform a neighborhood when you build in a little bit of that residential density. And so I support things like that, where we find those empty lots in neighborhoods, those boarded up homes, and you turn that into 2 or 3 new great homes. That's something I can get behind. I look at the pieces. I know ION is another way when, some of the folks who can't take advantage of InvestDSM, ION is the piece that they can take advantage of. I was knocking a door in the Drake neighborhood, and I talked to a family that they were living on a teacher's salary here in Des Moines, and they chose to, it was a married couple with kids. The mom had stayed home. They were living on a teacher's salary. They didn't have the dollars to even do the match for InvestDSM, but they qualified for ION. And that's part of making this work for everyone, too. They lived in the community. They cared about investing in their home. It's just, with the price of investing, particularly in some of these historic places, a tool like ION is really important. And so I really like that we're doing ION to a greater degree here. And that's something I can get behind. I like the fact that the communication emphasized the need to build in affordability everywhere, and that 10% set aside. I think that's an important thing that we continue. And that's a piece of the strategy that I like. I like some of the things we were talking about, single stair and being innovative and looking for opportunities to try new ideas. So when you bring back those things, those are the type of things that I'm going to get excited about and be able to get behind. I like the fact that we are thinking about the need for more 2 and 4 bedroom. I didn't pull it off the agenda, but we revised the development agreement because the market was showing on the Aston. They built the tempo, and the larger units, the 2 and 3 bedrooms, went quickly because there is a need for that. And so more of that. I mean, that's one of the things where families, I've talked to families who lived in downtown, wanted to be in an apartment or a condo downtown, but couldn't find that, 3 or 4 bedroom that they wanted the space, but they wanted it downtown, and that's a gap. And filling in gaps like that, I think, are important. I also wanted to address the affordability piece, because a lot of what we're doing is, in the strategy, has been focused more on increasing the value, and that is important. I don't want to lose sight of affordability, and I really appreciate the change. I had a lot of trouble with that low-income housing tax credit language. I'm glad that's changed. I think this is better and continues to say we're going to welcome low-income housing tax credits and projects, and we're going to be thoughtful about it. We're going to work with developers, and we're going to work to make it fit in our community. And it recognizes that we still need those projects and still need to do that. So I want to thank the manager and others who incorporated that change, because I think that's important. I want to say I do have some concern about some of the metrics and some of the broader discussion about affordability. And I want to make sure that we have affordability goals and we don't lose sight of affordability. I think Invest DSM is a great program, but like I said, in the Drake neighborhood, for example, we've converted a number of homes that were multiple apartments, and they were providing affordable housing. Not quality affordable housing, but they were providing affordable housing. And I want to make sure we continue to provide at least as much affordable housing as exists today, but I think we should be providing more. And I'm particularly concerned about the metric. I didn't see any metrics that were focused on increasing our affordable housing or maintaining our affordable housing. I was concerned about the metric where we talk about the share of struggling households. And I don't want that metric to drive displacement. I think if implemented in the wrong way, it could. And I hope that's not, that we keep that in mind and that doesn't become a metric. I get what we're trying to do in terms of we want everyone to have a home in Des Moines. But I hope we don't use metrics that can incentivize the wrong type of thing, because I don't think this is about pushing folks out, and I don't want anything to be, that metric raised concerns. That coupled with the lack of a specific affordability metric raised concerns. So as we go forward, I hope we have some metrics that reflect affordability and that we're conscious of. We're not trying to displace, and we don't create metrics that give an incentive if you're just trying to meet a metric and not a broader perspective. So those are my thoughts. I know that really the hard work is what's left ahead of us, and I stand ready to. I'm not shy about sharing how I feel, and I want when the next pieces of this come back in front of us, I want to have worked with staff and others on the council to bring back things that I can support as they come back to us. So thanks for all the work that's gone into it, and look forward to the continued discussion.
I think unfortunately on some of the discussion was a concern about taking away affordability. We do have the affordability. Sometimes it's affordable because it's in poor condition, which is not something we should aspire to. So I think that we have we have measures in here. So this is, I say, taking this whole block redevelopment where you take the node in the beginning and you go back and you look at affordability. You look at homes that are probably emptied, or you look at lots where you can divide down, because we've seen that with NFC and Invest DSM just did it on Southeast Granger, right? Where there's like 9 new homes within a block and a half, I think. So it can be done, but there is no affordability that we're doing that we aren't subsidizing probably in some way. So we have to look at that. That's just the reality of the business that we're in. But I want to make sure that whatever we do, it isn't affordable because it's substandard. And I believe that we have a lot of property that is old right now. It's not getting better, and that's why I think has been so successful. And I think that I think it's tripling in the plan or strategy. Those are the people that we need to help too. The people that want to stay in their homes but can't afford. So I would say there's probably more affordability built into this to help people keep that affordability than I think has been presented. Again, this is a strategy. There's a lot more work to do, and each piece will come back. Thank you for the people that were on the committee that were part of it. And with that, any other comment?
Move approval.
Okay.
Item 49.
Second.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, that's.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
7 yes.
Motion carries. At this time, we have no one that signed up to speak, so.
Motion to adjourn, Your Honor.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. This meeting is adjourned.